After 6 years of liking Nan, the white moonlight, I decided to give up. It was because a silhouette of a girl watching the sunset suddenly appeared in his moments. Watching the way his eyes crinkled with laughter when he mentioned the girl, I suddenly understood even being close to the water doesn't guarantee you'll get the moon first. He never considered me an option. I no longer love him wholeheartedly. As it turns out, when the moon sets, the sun rises, one can also walk into the spring. Light alone. 1. I had just finished a long day of overtime when I noticed Nan had changed his WeChat Moments cover photo. The chat history on my phone was still frozen from 10 minutes ago. When are you getting off work? Let me take you to a fantastic Japanese restaurant. In the chat window, good mornings accompanied by photos of the dawn and good nights mixed with shared files piled up, layer upon layer. Just like countless ordinary days over the past 6 years, I toil away at my tiny workstation. Hustling to make a living, cruising in his Cullinan with the evening breeze, he casually shared the stories and moods of his day with me. This unspoken thing between us is delicate, but it's not love. I like him, yet he has never once said he likes me. I rubbed my aching temples and, as usual, sent a cat rolling over emoji. Then, almost on impulse, I opened his long inactive moments, but the next second, my mind exploded. His moments background, which used to be of our shared dog, had been replaced with the silhouette of a girl watching the sunset. The girl's skin was as white as porcelain, wearing a silk white dress, sitting on Nan's car roof. Her pearl-white ankle was wrapped with a Bulgari fan-shaped necklace, smiling back at the camera. A simple photo, yet it stung my eyes painfully. I chased Nan for a full 6 years. I've confessed to him at least 3 times, but each time, he gently refused. I'm not ready for a relationship right now. Okay, I'll wait. Sometimes, when I feel like giving up and leaving, he looks at me very seriously. Chingwu, you mean a lot to me. I don't want to lose you over this. And so, he kept me by his side as a close friend for 6 whole years. We talked every day and met up every week. He would even walk with me, hold my hand, and hug me, just like a boyfriend would. In these 6 years, I haven't even seen him treat any girl with even a hint of kindness. I've always held on to hope, but now, as I look at his newly changed social media background, my heart skips a beat. I zoomed in and out of the girl's photo, looking at it over and over again. An uncontrollable cascade of thoughts, envy, and jealousy vied for dominance. I switched back to his chat window, my fingers trembling as I typed, only to delete the words again. It wasn't until my nails dug deep into my palms that I suddenly snapped back to reality. What right do I even have to question him? I've always replied to his messages within 5 minutes, but this time, after hesitating for so long, I ended up deleting everything I wanted to ask. Raindrops pattered steadily against the window pane. I sat there alone, lost in thought. For a long time, only left the company when the clock struck 9. Just as I stepped out of the building, I saw Nan's car parked at the entrance. In the dimly lit car, his distinct features lifted their gaze to meet mine in an instant. Why are you here? The moonlight illuminated his slightly helpless smile. It's raining. Can't I come pick you up? The black car was luxurious yet understated. Through the neon-lit, decadent night, Haichung's liveliest and most renowned Japanese izakaya, brilliantly illuminated, Nan and I sat facing each other. He wiped the dishes clean for me as he used to, and thoughtfully prepared the sauce. Have you been very busy lately? Are you tired? I hummed in acknowledgement, my mind elsewhere. He frowned at me, and his long fingers suddenly reached out to touch my forehead. No fever. Then why do you look so down? I instinctively took a step back. At this moment, I actually felt quite repulsed by his closeness. What is this supposed to mean? He's getting a girlfriend, yet he still keeps me at arm's length and shows concern. I took a gulp of wine and mustered the courage to speak. Nan, who's that girl in your social media posts? The tenderness on Nan's face froze, and for a moment, he frowned, but quickly, his handsome brows and eyes relaxed, and he gave a soft smile. He lowered his head and began to peel the shrimp for me. Piece by piece. A friend, met at a family gathering before, and then went to the beach with everyone. Under the influence of alcohol, I looked at him and smiled. He wore a gray turtleneck, his figure elegant. Under the dim light, his straight nose and thin lips were particularly captivating. Judging by his looks alone, he lived up to my 6 years of admiration. No matter how much I like him, I won't get involved in his relationship with someone else. Nan, you don't have to hide it from me. If you have a girlfriend, please let me know, and I'll keep my distance. Nan gently wiped his hands, placed the peeled shrimp on a plate, and pushed it in front of me. Our eyes met. In just a few short hours, my world felt like it had been swept up in a hurricane, yet he acted as if nothing had happened, his voice as steady as a calm lake. Chingwu, you're overthinking it. If you don't like it, I can change the photo anytime. 3. His answer seemed thorough and proper, but was actually full of holes. When he mentioned that girl, his eyes lit up and the corners of his eyes crinkled. I know that look all too well. It's the same look I give to Soo-Jin-nan. I didn't continue with the pointless inquiry. He also reportedly avoided mentioning the matter of the moments after the late-night snack. Soo-Jin-nan wanted to walk me home, just like he always did, but I turned him down. I needed to be alone, to clear my head and think things through. The winter nights in Haicheng were always bitterly cold, with the wind howling fiercely. I walked alone on the road, finding the girl's Weibo from Soo-Jin-nan's moments on Weibo. The girl posted many photos of her daily life. She shared a Christmas tree taller than a person in her villa, along with piles of gifts beneath it. She shared exciting moments from skiing in Courchevel, France, sharing the countless beautiful little dresses in my wardrobe. One particular group photo caught my eye. The girl was affectionately holding on to Soo-Jin-nan's arm, beaming with a radiant smile, and in the photo, it wasn't just Soo-Jin-nan, his parents were there too. In an instant, I felt like a balloon filled with air that had been pricked by a tiny needle, deflating silently. She and Soo-Jin-nan are family friends, with a privileged upbringing in a happy environment. Their lives of smooth sailing made them appear flawless and radiant. Behind me lies my injured and paralyzed father, my domineering and crazy mother, and a mess from the very beginning. There has always been a high wall standing between Soo-Jin-nan and me, and that wall is called social class. Snow drifted down, light as a feather. I looked up at the dazzling, prosperous cluster of international architecture, a city of towering skyscrapers, and a rented room of just a few square meters. The contrast couldn't be more stark. Back home, under the influence of alcohol, I lay in bed, drowsy and drifting off. My phone on the bedside table chimed with a notification. It's a message from Soo-Jin-nan. Are you home yet? It's Saturday tomorrow. Want to go camping? You've always wanted to go. Soo-Jin-nan's kindness towards me always comes out of the blue. He'll buy me that little cake I just casually mentioned, and when life gets overwhelming, he'll suddenly show up at my office building to surprise me. Yet his attitude is as elusive as the wind. He never says he likes me, nor does he ever say no. I couldn't hold on, stumbling along the way, constantly worrying about gains and losses. Until now, I'm really feeling exhausted. I didn't reply to him, turned off the screen, and fell into a deep sleep. The next morning, I woke up to several missed calls from Soo-Jin-nan on my phone. His social media profile picture had, at some point, been changed back to the puppy we raised together, for, after that unpleasant parting, I didn't see Soo-Jin-nan for a long time. He suddenly became very busy. Without my initiative, the frequency of our conversations suddenly decreased. I even had to check that girl's Weibo to keep up with Soo-Jin-nan's updates. During our silent days, Soo-Jin-nan accompanied that girl to see penguins in the Arctic, went fishing for red shrimp in Spain, and strolled on Jeju Island to watch the sunset. In the latest Weibo post, a photo of them by the sea was pinned at the top. By the rocks, the girl leaned into Soo-Jin-nan's arms, flashing a peace sign. Soo-Jin-nan's hand rested gently on the girl's waist, tender and lingering. The world suddenly fell very quiet. So it turns out I can go a long time without speaking. 2. Soo-Jin-nan had never personally admitted to their relationship, but these photos had already given the answer for him. I touched my cold, tear-streaked face. It's okay, I told myself. Hormones fade, and so does love. Affection will run out, and I will finally wake up. I saw Soo-Jin-nan again a month later, a stormy evening. I stood at the company entrance with a stack of documents, trying to hail a cab to deliver the files to where the client was dining. The documents were trivial, but a banquet table is never truly merry without the presence of a beauty. I disliked it, yet I had no choice but to swallow my pride for a meager paycheck. The rain was pouring, the roads were terrible, and I waited in the biting wind for a long time without a single cab in sight. Then, through the curtain of rain, the familiar silhouette of a Rolls-Royce Cullinan suddenly emerged. The car came to a stop right in front of me, the window rolled down. The gaze that met mine belonged not only to Soo-Jin-nan, but also to the girl in the passenger seat, that beautiful little princess from the family reunion photo of Soo-Jin-nan. 5. Sister Chingwu, need a ride? I'll have Anan drive you. The girl tilted her head, looking at me with a hint of a smile playing on her lips. Anan, what an intimate nickname. She even knows my name. So, did Soo-Jin-nan, to please her, also share my love for him as a piece of gossip with that girl? Amidst the torrential rain, I stood on the steps, locking eyes with Soo-Jin-nan. After a moment, he rubbed the steering wheel and looked away. Get in the car, I'll take you wherever you need to go. The phone rang at that moment, and the boss's urgent call arrived right on time. Seeing that I was slow to act, Sujinan's gaze fell on the documents I was holding protectively, and he honked the horn. Work is important, and it's raining heavily outside. Looking at the boss's impatient messages on my phone, I hesitated for a moment before getting into the car. It had been a month since I last saw Sujinan, and the interior of his car had changed quite a bit. The little dog-shaped pillow I used to keep in the back seat was gone, replaced by various high-end gift boxes scattered across the seats, and the cashmere scarf I once bought for Sujinan was now buried haphazardly beneath the pile of those boxes. Sorry about the mess, Chingwu. I just have a lot of stuff. It's all Nan's fault for insisting on buying it for me. The girl in the front row turned around and gave me a bright, radiant smile. Oh, by the way, my name is Zhao Jingyuan. I've always heard Nan talk about having a great playmate by his side, and today I finally met him. She gave me a thorough once-over, emphasizing the word playmate with a hint of mockery. I've seen plenty of rich people fawning over the powerful and stepping on the weak over the years, so I wasn't particularly excited or angry. Hello, I gave a faint smile. Sister Chingwu, Anan mentioned you're in foreign trade sales. She paused deliberately. In sales, you often have to trade favors. For deals, it must be exhausting. I hear you're still the top salesperson in your team this year. Sister, you're amazing. Zhao Jingyuan's words are full of confrontation. It's just ridiculous. I was never her rival, because Su Jinan never considered me as a potential partner. I glanced at Su Jinan in the rearview mirror. His expression was detached, unnervingly calm. I let out a long breath and straightened up. Miss Zhao, your judgment is quite interesting. It's like assuming a chef's knife is a weapon just because a chef is holding it, or is this the only path to success in your perception? Zhao Jingyuan was stunned for a moment, his eyes wide. He was about to say more when Su Jinan cut him off sharply. That's enough, Ayuan. Su Jinan glanced at my expression in the rearview mirror. I didn't look at him, turning my gaze instead to the window. Arrived at the destination. Sun Jinan, I'm here. Sun Jinan raised his eyelids, glanced at the neon-lit sign of the Jinzuan Club outside the window, and let out a cold laugh. Jiang Qingwu, take a look for yourself. What kind of place is this? Ayuan has been spoiled rotten since she was a child. Don't stoop to her level. This is the place I need to go. Realizing I wasn't joking, Su Jinan's expression froze for a few seconds. A sudden, sharp break. Before he could say a word, I was already dashing into the rain with the documents in my arms. Su Jinan also got out of the car with an umbrella, completely ignoring the calls from Zhao Jingyuan in the passenger seat. Out of my way, Qingwu, what are you doing there? The rain poured down in sheets. He caught up and grabbed my wrist, his face cold as he questioned me. I didn't know whether to laugh or cry, and I shook the soaked documents I was holding. Young Master Su, can't you see? I need to go to work. Su Jinan seems quite wary of me attending drinking parties. The dark turmoil in his eyes is more terrifying than a gathering storm. What kind of legitimate client would require you to sign a contract in such a place? What kind of place? Entertaining clients and signing contracts are also part of my job. Or do you and Zhao Jinyuan think my job is as dirty as you imagine? I've always been able to sense Su Jinan's disdain for my work, or perhaps it's a disdain for the unseemly struggle of those at the bottom just to survive. He is the moon, hanging high and distant in the sky. The moon doesn't have to struggle in the mire, so naturally, it doesn't understand how heavy a sixpence can be, or how many ordinary people it can crush. That's not what I meant, Qingwu. Su Jinan, of course you'd think the mud is filthy when you live up in the clouds, but for those of us hanging off the edge of a cliff, we have to grab at every single straw. Su Jinan's expression froze for an instant, his eyes filled with a confusion and shock I had never seen before. The window on the second floor of the club opened, and the long-waiting client leaned out, letting out a derisive snort as he looked at me. The leaden gray sky feels so heavy and oppressive, yet I have no choice but to run around for my daily bread. Qingwu, don't throw yourself away. Don't jump into the abyss. Su Jinan's hand trembled slightly. He doesn't know that the abyss he sees is the shore I spent 4 years clawing my way to. I endured countless humiliations and indignities to reach where I stand today. Those born in the clouds always think falling takes courage. Little do they know, for those of us born in the mud, even looking up at the sky is a luxury. Su Jinan grabbed me by the shoulders. If you go in there today, we're through as friends. As if I wanted to be his friend. I struggled with all my might to break free from his grip. We won't be friends then. 7 in the club. Glasses clinked at the table. I navigated the old men, smiling as I toasted each client. The phone in my pocket kept vibrating under the table. It was Su Jinan calling. I knew Su Jinan always disapproved of me putting on a smiling face for these people, he thought. It wasn't necessary, there's no need to sacrifice your dignity for such a small amount of money, he always says lightly. What's the point of continuing this job? If you really need money, just tell me. But for me, it's necessary. I need money to support my parents and to live with dignity, but I absolutely wouldn't ask him for it under the guise of friendship. I want to be respected by him. I want to stand beside him as an equal. After a few rounds of toasting, a business partner grabbed my hand under the influence of alcohol. I remained calm and deftly pulled away. They hinted that for a bright future, my sincerity tonight would be the deciding factor, but I wasn't willing. I didn't grovel and pull all-nighters just to end up like this. After a few drinks, I made an excuse and headed to the restroom. At the sink, I forced myself to throw up, then checked my phone. In just 1 hour, there were 6 missed calls from Su Jinan. At the bottom of the message, there was also a text from Zhao Jingyuan. I just forgot to formally introduce to you, my wedding with Anan is set for May 7th next year, our happiness needs you, our good friend, to witness it in person. Turns out she's not just a girlfriend, but an fiancé. Time flies, he's getting married already. Su Jinan knew exactly how I felt being by his side, yet he never brought it up with me, not even once. I splashed some cold water on my face and stared at my reflection in the mirror. Those eyes looked tired, tinged with the faint redness of staying up late, yet the pupils were bright, like embers that hadn't quite died out, needing only a breath of wind to reignite into a roaring flame. At this moment, I clearly realized I am no longer the little girl who could only gaze at the moon. Su Jinan never chose me, he just kept me bound with his ambiguous attitude, feeding me an irresistible affection I couldn't say no to. We're from different worlds, even if we wait another 6 years, it still won't work out. We stand on different stages, holding scripts for lives that were never meant to intersect. So now, I'm going my own way. It was 10 at night when the dinner finally wrapped up. After seeing off the last client, I left the club. To my surprise, Su Jinan's car was still parked right outside the entrance, the ground littered with a scattering of crimson cigarette butts. The moment he saw me emerge safe and sound, his eyes instantly welled up. Qinggu, I didn't really mean to. Su Jinan, I need to talk to you. I cut him off. The shadow lifted from his pupils, leaving only a clear, bright, and radiant light. Inside the car, an intricate and beautiful starry sky adorned the ceiling. Su Jinan had one hand on the steering wheel, while the other reached over, wanting to caress my hand as he used to. Qingwu, I didn't mean what I said just now, I was just angry. As soon as his fingertips touched the back of my hand, I pulled away. Su Jinan, I've thought about this very seriously, let's break up. The moment the words left my mouth, Su Jinan suddenly gripped the steering wheel tightly. His eyes widened in an instant, and veins bulged on his forehead. Jiang Qingwu, what do you mean by that? What do you mean by we separate? I repeated it. Breaking up means we shouldn't be this kind of friends anymore. You go your way, and I'll go mine. Let's not see each other again. Su Jinan stared at me with a very strange expression for a long time. Finally, it seemed like he was amused by my anger. Qingwu, you're still mad at me, aren't you? He probably realized I was serious, his lips trembling. This way, I'll never talk about your job again. Do whatever you want, I won't stand in your way. I looked into his eyes and shook my head with great seriousness. The person I fell for when I was 19, the person I spent 6 years chasing after, even now, it remains vivid and beautiful. I still find myself drawn to his appearance, but I'm no longer infatuated with him. Su Jinan, over these 6 years, I've confessed my feelings to you no fewer than 3 times, yet you've never once given me a direct answer, always silencing me with various reasons and excuses. I'm asking you one last time, have you ever considered me? Su Jinan was stunned, his lips parted, but no sound came out. I smiled as I watched him struggle and hesitate. You've never once considered my feelings. So why are you so determined to keep me by your side? Su Jinan, are you that desperate for a friend? To this day, I have to admit that Su Jinan never truly loved me. He just used his ambiguous attitude to tie me down, keeping me captive with an intimacy I couldn't refuse. He doesn't love me, he's just trying to control me. Qingwu, I don't want to lose you. Su Jinan let out a long sigh, covered his face with his hands, then clasped them together, looking at me with weary sorrow. Even his usually arrogant voice had grown somewhat hoarse. I went along with what he said, but nothing in this world is eternal, no one will stay with anyone forever. You don't need to keep me hanging on, Nan. It's time for us to part ways. After all, I can't spend my whole life waiting for a mere maybe from you. Nan stared at me, dazed. For a long time, his eyes held 1,000 indescribable emotions, but in the end, it was interrupted by the car phone. Miss Zhao Jingyuan is calling. Should I connect? I tactfully pushed open the car door and got out. At the moment the door closed, Nan asked the final question. What on earth is the reason? Why so suddenly? He turned to look at me, his eyes filled with despair. I stood in the cold wind and smiled. Congratulations on your wedding, Nan. 9. Actually, it's only recently that I've come to understand. From the very beginning, Nan never intended for there to be any future for us. What he enjoys is just the ambiguous feeling of me orbiting around him. All he wants to maintain is this relationship that makes him feel comfortable and relaxed. As for his kindness towards me, it's just a very, very small part of his world, so light that a gust of wind would scatter it, just like feeding pigeons in the square. All the good I received was just a tiny crumb from his hand. After realizing this, I surprisingly felt a sense of relief and release. These days after parting ways with Nan, he has been very quiet. I no longer care. I put more energy into my work. Every day is either chasing after clients or stuck in endless business dinners. I finally closed that deal at the club last time. Turning down the easy way out cost me a great deal of effort and subjected me to a lot of scorn and hardship, but in the end, it was all above board, and the bonus landed squarely in my pocket. A week later, I received a notice from headquarters assigning me to a 1-year overseas posting with a 40% salary increase, departure in 3 days. Before leaving, I went home one last time. In the alley closest to the rehabilitation hospital, a small flat of less than 20 square meters is crammed with junk and scrap. 10 years ago, my father fell from a construction site and has been bedridden ever since, incontinent and without consciousness. My mother went mad from the shock, alternating between lucidity and madness. I used a warm towel to wipe my father's face and hands, who seemed withered. I prepared a meal for my mother, combed her hair, and gave her final instructions. Then, I placed a thick stack of money into the iron box. In that moment as I closed the door, I noticed the white strands in my mother's hair. My eyes welled up with tears. Although I had hired professional caregivers for them, I still couldn't bear to leave them here, but there was no other choice. I need to carve out a future for myself to give them hope to survive. On the way to the airport, Nan, who had been silent for a month, suddenly sent me a message. I'm downstairs at your company. There are some things I want to explain to you in person. Qingwu. We shouldn't end things like this. 10. In the end, I never replied to him. Since I've already decided to let go, there's no point in any lingering attachments. I can take 99 steps toward him, but the last one, I must stop. The moment I boarded the plane, I pulled out my SIM card and tossed it into the wind. There's no such thing as a free lunch. The price of my 40% raise is taking on the toughest challenge, opening up new overseas markets for the company. Every day in Seattle was a frantic race against the clock, with an endless list of things to do. After 3 straight months of non-stop work, I opened my phone late one night. It suddenly dawned on me that I hadn't thought about Nan in a very long time. When I first arrived in Seattle, the unfamiliar language and the impenetrable work culture nearly broke me. In my toughest moments, thoughts of Nan still find their way to me. Inevitably, I remember all those past low points. How he was right there by my side, cheering me on. I remember all the times I wanted to give up, and then seeing his handsome features under the street lamp would fill me with fresh resolve, a desire to walk over and stand shoulder to shoulder with him. But now, Nan crosses my mind less and less often. Instead, there were stacks of complex English contracts. The 6-year obsession and regret would eventually be smoothed over by time. After everything settled down, I thought I would never see Nan again in this lifetime. Until 2 months later, at the Global Trade Conference, we happened to meet again. I was leading my team to set up the exhibition that day. After pulling several all-nighters in a row, when my period arrived as expected, my face had turned pale, and it was a struggle just to stand upright. As I curled up, drenched in cold sweat, a pair of strong hands suddenly caught my arm, supporting all the weight that was about to collapse. A familiar voice came from above. I'll take you to the hospital. It's Nan. He was dressed in a black bespoke business suit, still as dignified and aloof as ever, with a gaze that was both compassionate and serene. The silence was so profound you could hear a pin drop. The moon that had hung over my world for 6 years appeared again during my darkest and most troubled times. I was momentarily dazed, but it was only for a brief second. A second later, I looked up again, politely and distantly withdrawing my arm. No, I still have work to do. 11. The young girl from our team helped me back to the break room, catching a whiff of gossip. She slyly asked me, "Chingwu, is he your boyfriend?" I held the hot water, seeing the 6 years of chasing after Su Jinan in the mist before my eyes, and shook my head. Just an old friend I haven't seen in a long time. If it weren't for seeing the landmarks of Seattle outside the window, I would have thought I hadn't left Su Jinan yet. I even thought I was stepping into another 6 years of secretly loving him. But thankfully, the sight of the Space Needle outside my window in this foreign land was a stark, undeniable reminder. It's been over half a year since I left those humble, bittersweet days behind. I rested in the lounge for half an hour before heading back out to work, but I hadn't expected that Su Jinan would still be there. He stood not far from the exhibition hall, tall and graceful, watching me from a distance. He made no move to approach or disturb me. After just a fleeting glance, I averted my gaze and focused all my attention on the upcoming exhibition. After several busy hours, my eyes inadvertently drifted back to where Su Jinan had been standing. The place was completely deserted. The exhibition ended at 7 in the evening, shedding the weariness of the day. I had just stepped out of the building when I saw Su Jinan waiting at the entrance. It was early spring, and Seattle's cherry blossoms were blooming in the night. He stood in the soft glow of the street lamp, quietly watching me. "Chingwu, it's been a long time." 12. Inside the car, Su Jinan turned on the heater and draped a blanket over my knees. The familiar, pleasant scent of citrus washed over me. He took out a cup of warm brown sugar water from the side and handed it to me. "You're not taking care of yourself again. Does it still hurt? You were upset last time I told you not to work, so this time, I waited downstairs for you the whole time, until you finished work." I watched him quietly. After half a year, he still seemed to have kept all those habits of being good to me. Even the tone of his voice hadn't changed much, as if we had never been apart. Yet something had changed. Su Jinan had become cautious. I gently set the glass of water down and called out his name, "Chingwu." He cut me off. I broke off the engagement with Zhao Jingyuan on a moonless night. Su Jinan's eyes shone brightly. He held my hand, caressing it repeatedly, as if it were a precious treasure he had lost and found again. "I never told you about Zhao Jingyuan because she was the marriage partner my parents arranged for me. I didn't know her before, and our interaction lasted only 3 months. At that time, I really hadn't figured out whether to go along with my parents' arrangement, to have an arranged marriage between our families, and live a stable life like that, until the day you asked me, "Do I really like you?" He was silent for a few seconds, his voice becoming hoarse. "Lately, I've been thinking long and hard about what I truly feel for you, when you were still by my side. It never once crossed my mind that I could ever lose you. I simply took your presence for granted, cherishing every single second you were with me, until the day you left without a word. After you left, I unexpectedly found myself missing you, not out of dependence, not out of habit, nor out of friendship between friends. I simply and straightforwardly want to see you, to give you a hug. I want you by my side." His slightly cool fingertips gently brushed across my face, while his warm pads carefully caressed every inch, as if trying to take in every moment of the 6 months we were apart. "Chingwu, I want to give us a try." 13. If this were a few years ago, hearing Su Jinan say this would have made me really happy. After all those years, all I wanted was to be with him. But now, I feel absolutely nothing, and even find it a bit presumptuous. I'm not a trial product for anyone to try out. I pulled my hand away. "But I'm not ready for a relationship right now. I'll wait for you until you're ready." I'm feeling a bit annoyed. "Su Jinan, I'm not your little errand boy you can summon and dismiss at will. Why is it that when you say you don't love me, you can keep me hanging, and when you say you love me, I have to rush to accommodate you again? What do you take me for?" For those 6 years I stood by his side. He claims he was lost and unaware, so I endured humiliation and bore the weight of his contempt and hurt. But now that he's come to his senses, am I just supposed to drop everything and follow his lead? That's simply not how the world works. Ku. Shujin was not ready to give up easily. He started appearing around me frequently, either on my way to work or when I was taking a walk near my home. I paid no attention and just laughed it off. He managed to get my contact information again and started sending his daily check-ins in my chat. Just like he used to, he had taken on my old role, constantly chattering away and trying to keep the conversation going. At 8 in the morning, the good morning message arrived right on schedule, accompanied by a beautiful photo of a fiery sunset. Around noon, he would share his lunch with me and talk about how his day was going. I just glance at it and swipe away with a single tap. Almost every week, I receive flowers from him along with an invitation to dinner, but each time, I pass the flowers on to the young girls in my team and have dinner with them, working late into the night. Despite my coldness, Sujin Nan does not lose heart. He said, "Chingwu, I'll prove to you how determined I am in pursuing you. I'll show you this isn't a passing fancy, I'm serious." Oh, to be honest, I'm not really interested in what he thinks right now. I'm far more interested in closing deals, securing partnerships, and earning bonuses. Sensing this, Sujin Nan quickly pulled some strings and sent a few premium clients my way. Then, using the intermediary as a pretext, he asked me out for a meal to discuss a potential collaboration. I turned him down several times, but one day, I was set up by a business partner and ended up running into Sujin Nan. "Fine, if it's business you want to talk, then let's talk business, and nothing else." Throughout the entire dinner, my business partner and I exchanged pleasantries, not sparing a glance for Sujin Nan. By the end of the meal, his expression had visibly darkened. After the banquet, Sujin Nan finally seized the opportunity to catch me. That night, the moon was bright, he had been drinking, and his pale skin was tinged with a flush, making him appear less aloof and more approachable. Sujin Nan stood still, not following, just staring at me. There were emotions in her eyes that I couldn't understand. "Chingwu, today was the first time I saw you entertaining clients and discussing partnerships. You handled it so effortlessly, so tactfully. I don't need any help from you at all." I suddenly realized that in the 6 years we've known each other, I don't think I've ever truly understood you. "Chingwu, it feels like I've missed so much of you, and you're becoming someone unfamiliar to me." His eyelashes drooped slightly, looking a bit disheartened, but then, he looked up and smiled, with a hint of admiration that was almost imperceptible. "But now, you shine brighter than the moonlight." 14. Sujin Nan has been spending more and more time by my side. It was as if he was desperate to prove his sincerity to me. He kept every single thing about me close to his heart. He gave his absolute best to anything and everything that concerned me. Even my colleagues thought we were truly headed for a happy ending. A month before I was due to return home, suddenly, news came from home. Due to the caregiver's negligence, my father got phlegm stuck at night and it wasn't removed in time, leading to a lung infection. When Jinan Su accompanied me back to the hospital, my father had already been admitted to the ICU. I almost instantly collapsed, sitting on the bench in the corridor, but the next second, I quickly called my mom. Fortunately, my mom's mental state has been okay recently, and she's safely at home alone. The tension suddenly released, and exhaustion came flooding in. Sujin Nan stood in front of me, gently and carefully hugging me. "Chingwu, don't be afraid, I'm here for you." Words of comfort are so easily spoken, yet the real, tangible hardship that follows is not diminished by them. After Dad was transferred out of the ICU, what awaited him was days of meticulous, round-the-clock care. Sujin Nan hired the best possible nurse for me, but that's nowhere near enough. The caregivers can catch a nap, but I can't. I have to keep a constant watch on my father's vital signs, monitor and turn him regularly to prevent bed sores. Sujin Nan stays with me at the hospital every day. He wanted to help me, but every time he watched me skillfully care for Dad, carrying the bedpan back and forth, sometimes having to handle the mess with my own hands, he would just freeze. His outstretched hand would hover, unable to bring itself to touch Dad's soiled bedding. Whenever this happened, I would just smile and send him downstairs to the corner shop to pick up some daily necessities for me. I know that for someone like him, a wealthy and privileged young man, such a blunt shock is still hard to accept. I can understand, having spent all these years guarding a soulless shell, giving my all, and dealing with unexpected situations. There were times when I felt utterly hopeless, but in the end, I managed to grit my teeth and pull through. After all, as long as you're alive, there's always hope. But Sujin Nan was Different, that was my normal life, not his. He couldn't truly understand. Later, Nan volunteered to help me take care of my mother. Auntie just has some mental issues, I should be able to handle it. I watched his confident demeanor, said nothing, and brought him back to my home, that small, cluttered shack, less than 20 square meters, filled with junk and trash. Nan Su came home with me for the first time. He had known the truth about my family's circumstances for a long time. He had mentally prepared himself for it, yet, when he stepped out of the car, he was still stunned, standing motionless outside the house for what felt like an eternity. After all, even the bathroom in his house was larger and more luxurious than my entire home. All these years, I've never brought Nan home, because I didn't want him to see this despicable and impoverished side of me. I don't know if he regrets his decision to pursue me at this very moment. All I know is, when I showed him all my cards and my flaws, it means there's no possibility for us. 15. On the day my dad was discharged and came home, Nan helped me with everything. He wore a familiar camel-colored coat that I had once given him. Back then, a chasm of fate separated us, and I always tried various ways to close the gap with him, seeking just a little bit of equality. Nan seemed to notice me watching him, wiped the sweat from his forehead, and looked up to smile at me. His eyes were still so clean and beautiful, like the moon in the sky. In my youth, I was willful, stubborn, and arrogant, chasing after the moon even when I knew it was impossible. Now, having weathered many storms, I no longer cling to that pursuit of the moon. I walked up and patted him on the shoulder. Thank you for your help during this time. Let's have a meal together, my treat, at a budget-friendly hot pot restaurant by the roadside. Nan and I sat facing each other through the steam rising from the hot pot. Nan was serving me food while asking about my future plans. Are you still planning to develop abroad? If needed, I can buy a standalone villa there. What about buying a place by the sea? I remember you've always wanted a house near the ocean, or perhaps you're planning to return home to pursue your career. That's wonderful too. I own 3 properties in Haishur. I'll give you the keys and passcodes when the time comes. No matter what, I fully support all your endeavors. He spoke on, a bright smile playing on his lips as if envisioning an endless future. I set down my chopsticks and watched him quietly. Nan, do your parents know you're pursuing me? Nan's smile instantly froze on his face. Not long ago, Nan's mother came to the hospital to see me. Unlike those cliched melodramatic plots, Mrs. Sun didn't come off as aggressive. Instead, she visited my father and kindly consoled me throughout. She never said anything inappropriate. Just before she left, she said to me, "Xiao Jiang, you're a clever kid, hardworking and ambitious, but you and Xiaonan aren't right for each other." Honestly, I didn't need Mrs. Su to come and tell me that. I already knew the gap between us. I was always clear-headed. I told her that I never got together with Nan, and never will. I took a deep breath and calmly told Nan, as you can see, my life is in complete chaos. One day I'm holding court in a Seattle high-rise, the next, I'm back in this tiny, sub-20 square meter apartment, living among the junk and the roaches. Nan's eyes dimmed instantly. "Qinggu, I know," he said, a note of urgency in his voice. "I can talk my parents into accepting you." I shook my head. "This isn't about whether I accept it or not, it's that we've never been from the same world. You come from a privileged background, living a respectable and easy life, while I struggle at the bottom, giving my all just to make ends meet. Once, I wanted to catch up to you with all my might. Without hesitation, but your world is so vast, so brilliant, how could I ever hope to keep pace with you? What's more, my own world doesn't allow me to throw caution to the wind, to abandon everything and follow you, to force my way across a social divide that isn't mine to cross. I am like a trumpet creeper born on a cliff's edge, destined to climb upward with these heavy, clinging vines." Nan paused for a moment, his throat tight with emotion, and spoke with difficulty. "What if I leave the Su family, without my parents' interference? Us? Stop it, Jinanan, have you seriously thought about the chaos that would ensue if we were together? Can you live with me in a 20 square meter apartment after leaving the Su family? Could you suction my father's phlegm and help him turn over? Could you watch over a mentally ill person every single day and never lose your temper?" You couldn't. If it's a constant struggle, then it's a forced demand. Then why force ourselves to stay together, only to end up hurting each other? So, Nan, Don't come looking for me anymore, stop disrupting my life, let's just end it here. 16. On the day I completed 3 months of working back in my home country, I received a transfer order from the head office to take up the position of project lead at a branch in the neighboring city. Housing prices in that neighboring city weren't high, so I used the money I'd saved over the years to buy a 60 square meter, 2-bedroom apartment there. The apartment wasn't large, but it was very clean. One of the bedrooms faced south, where green succulents thrived on the windowsill, and the white sheer curtains glowed with brilliant sunlight. The moment I held the property certificate in my hands trembled, and tears uncontrollably fell. There was bitterness, joy, and a sense of relief. After years of wandering in the city's hustle and bustle, I finally, through my own efforts, gave my parents a bright and clean home and secured a respectable future for myself. This is a significant milestone in my life. I know full well that challenges and difficulties lie ahead, but the moment I return to this home, all weariness simply melts away. Before leaving, I treated my former colleagues to a farewell dinner. The young girl who had met Su Jinan before sighed quietly to herself, "Sister Qingwu, what a shame after all those twists and turns over 6 or 7 years, wasting so much of your time, we still ended up parting ways. Any regrets? Perhaps a few. 6 years is a precious amount of time, after all, but when I think about it carefully, my unrequited love for Su Jinan hasn't left me empty-handed. The essence of admiration is to become and to surpass. Over the years, I've used Su Jinan's light to see a whole new world and clarify my goals, and through my fondness for him, wanting to get closer to him, I've become a better person. Su Jinan is indeed not my moon, but at least for a moment, the moonlight truly shone upon me, supporting me as I slowly moved forward step by step. Before leaving, Su Jinan came to see me one last time on a street lined with spring blossoms. He stood far away, gazing at me from a distance. When I turned back, he pursed his lips and gave a gentle yet bitter smile. "When will you come back again? I'll pick you up." I shook my head. "I won't be coming back unless there's a special reason." He took a few steps forward, and the wind from his movement stirred his gray coat. Many words lingered in my throat, but in the end, only a bitter sob escaped softly. "Qingwu, I regret it deeply. I deeply regret those 6 years with you, for not being braver. If only I had understood my heart sooner, if only I could have overcome the realities I've always feared." I smiled. "These no longer matter as much. Once, I would chase others, wounded and ashamed of my family. My love is awkward and insecure, self-conscious and not straightforward. But now, I have truly come to accept my current situation from the bottom of my heart, and I feel a great sense of relief, starting to love myself. I've come a long, long way and taken many detours to become strong and confident. Fortunately, it's not too late." I waved goodbye to Su Jinan, turned around, picked up my suitcase, and walked away. In the distance, the orange light of dawn broke through the clouds. I lifted my head and walked forward with determination. Now, I will go forth alone to meet the spring that belongs to me. Epilogue. At the age of 32, Su Jinan saw Jiang Qingwu once again at the conference center. By then, she was already the head of the East China region, standing radiantly among the crowd. He wanted to step forward and greet her, but the throng of people surrounding her was so vast, it seemed to swallow him whole. The young girl who had always stood behind him, looking up in admiration, had finally transformed into a son in her own right. For the past 4 years, his parents have been introducing him to suitable marriage prospects, but none have stirred his heart. He suddenly remembered that last month his parents took him to the temple to have his fortune told about marriage. The master smiled and shook his head, leaving behind a phrase, "Her bottom line is you, and your limit is her." Not a single word about retribution. Every word is retribution. Cowards who betray true